Day one of the world's largest mining convention, the PDAC, here in Toronto. And my first guest is Rick Rule of US Sprott Holdings. Rick, good to be back with you.
Pleasure to be with you, Daniela.
So I managed to catch some of the speakers this morning, and some were calling for a bottom for the juniors, that it's past and that better things are to come. Are you as optimistic, Rick?
I think so, but my time frame's probably longer than theirs. My suspicion is that the rally that we're in now is a false rally. I do think we've put in a bottom, although I haven't seen issuer capitulation. My suspicion is, however, that the bottom will be a longer process. I think this summer will be challenging for many of the issuers, although not for the best issuers. I think one thing that substantiates that is that although the TSXV is up by 15%, there are still more companies making new lows than making new highs, which would suggest, as John Kaiser pointed out to you, that the bottom end of the market is still headed towards its intrinsic value, which is, of course, zero, while the better companies are doing well.
Now, some speakers were saying that 600 companies will still remain in the red. We're talking juniors here, and about 700 to 800 will have a positive year. Is that the proportion you're looking at for?
One would hope that the former group goes extinct, like they did in the early 90s, which would be very healthy for the whole market. But certainly, probably 60% of the companies on the exchange are trying to stay alive, trying to do financings to pay the rent and pay salaries, which is not the way to grow. A much smaller number, probably 20 or 25% of the total issuers, are catching bids and moving higher.
So how do you play it then, Rick? Last time we spoke, you said it was a buying time. Everything was on sale, you said. How do you see it now?
Very much the same. We're in a situation right now where the issuers are getting some remorse. The market is according them capital on pretty generous terms. My suspicion is that the summer will be somewhat less generous. So issuers that have the ability to raise capital right now at PDAC should take it. They will be able to raise capital over the summer, but it won't be as generous as it is right now.
But Rick, if you had to choose between the exploration companies, the majors, or the juniors, where would you place your money?
Personally, I'm going in the exploration companies because nobody else is. The love is going to the companies with advanced projects that could be run in production. The real love is going to private equity qualified projects. We always try and be where the market isn't, and there is no love at all in the generative exploration sector, despite the fact that there's been some pretty good field performance over the last year.
Now, do your thoughts on the mining stocks translate the same into physical gold? How do you see the yellow metal setup, Rick?
I am a buyer different than many of your buyers, Daniela. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I buy gold out of cowardice. I use it to protect my purchasing power. And as a consequence of that, I am much more fond of gold at 1,300 than I was at 1,900. I have been a steady buyer of all three metals, and I will continue to be.
Okay, good thoughts, Rick. Before I let you go, thoughts to investors watching. What would you say the sentiment is like here as we kick off PDAC in Toronto?
Too optimistic, too bullish. The recovery is here, but it's going to take much longer than people think it is. You have to pick stocks very, very, very carefully.
Rick, thanks so much for your thoughts.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for watching our opening coverage of the PDAC in Toronto. We'll have lots more for you throughout the day and throughout the next few days on Kitco.com, so stay tuned. In the meantime, you can email me at newsfeedback@kitco.com. Thanks for watching.